Hi there everybody, it's Ryan Liberty. In this video, I will be answering the question, what is victim mentality? Ooh, Alright everybody, we're gonna get into what victim mentality is, but before I do, I just have a few things I gotta say. One of them is that, I'll be talking about a lot of disorders and a lot of different things in this video. This is not diagnostic criteria. If you need a diagnosis for any of these things, you'll have to see a licensed professional for that. Also, this could be triggering for some people because I may be talking about abusive topics, so if you feel like it might trigger you, this might be a good time to turn the video off and come back to it later when you're feeling better able to handle that. If you don't feel like you can ever handle any kind of talk about abuse, then that's okay. Just turn the video off. That's perfectly fine. Also, if we're talking about emotional abuse, I just want to make note that emotional abuse is something we all kind of do here and there. It's when it's a pattern that we see consistently over time that it becomes emotional abuse. I always like to make that note. And if you are in any kind of an abusive situation, then I urge you desperately to seek help. Not desperately, I urge you to seek help, please. There are resources out there that will be able to help you. You have friends, you have family. Even if you don't have that, there are friends and family waiting for you in places like helplines, shelters, any public service. Believe me, there are people out there who want to help you. There's online support groups, whatever you need to do to find that help. It's worth it. Get the help you need if you're in an abusive situation. Now, that all out of the way, let's get into what is victim mentality. So I've got some notes here because I did a lot of looking up stuff here. And victim mentality, it seems like there's no real definition. It's not like a real term. It's just something that we all kind of use to describe something we see going on. So generally, what I think victim mentality means is that it's when somebody has a pattern of feeling like a victim, even though nothing harmful has happened to them. I have a lot of ideas of what we could be talking about when we're talking about victim mentality, and I'm going to go through them here. One of those things could be re-victimization, and if somebody is experiencing re-victimization, I do have a video for that. That is actually becoming a victim over and over and over again, so it wouldn't really be appropriate to say that they're having a victim mentality because they actually are a victim, just repeatedly being exposed to things that make them a victim. Something else that could be going on is we may be witnessing somebody who's projecting, which is a psychological defense mechanism, and projecting is simply not being able to hold in our own anger, frustrations, anxieties, and so we project it, we place it in somebody else. So, we say, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're bothering me, it's your fault that I feel this way. It's always projected out to the other person instead of us owning our own experience. So that could be something we're seeing when we're talking about victim mentality. We may also be talking about PTSD or depression symptoms, which would be symptoms like feeling like we can't change things or things are never going to change. And also there's a symptom of having like low self-esteem, low self-worth. I think sometimes we believe that those kinds of behaviors lead to feeling somebody's like a victim when there's nothing actually happening to them in the moment. But again, something that I want to mention here, because I'm going to be mentioning a few mental disorders here, is if somebody is going through a mental disorder, they are still a victim of that mental disorder. They may not be a victim of what they say is going on, but they're still a victim of that mental disorder. So I still kind of feel like saying they have a victim mentality, maybe it's descriptive, but I don't think it's appropriate to kind of hang that over their head because they are a victim of a mental disorder. So something else we might be talking about is PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder re-experiencing, and I should do a video on that also. It's just simply when you you have a flashback, you have that experience of the trauma once again. So you may feel like a victim in that moment, and it may appear to other people like there's no reason for you to be a victim. So that could be something that we're talking about when we see somebody who we believe has a victim mentality. We may be talking about paranoia, we may be talking about delusions, personality traits such as emotional lability, submissiveness, perseveration, suspiciousness, deceitfulness. unusual beliefs and experiences, and cognitive and perceptual dysregulation. Could be any of those personality traits we're looking at. And again, I just want to reiterate, all of these things involve some sort of mental dysfunction, so the person may not be a victim of what they're saying they're a victim of, but they are still a victim of their own mind or their own mental disorders. So I don't know that it's appropriate to use the term victim mentality on somebody. Maybe it's descriptive. Maybe, yes, they do have a victim mentality, but I don't know if it's appropriate to use it the way that I'm going to say here, which is that, a lot of people use victim mentality to kind of victim blame somebody. That's why I'm feeling uncomfortable as I'm talking about all of this, because I don't like victim blaming, and I did do a video on victim blaming. But a lot of people say that somebody else has a victim mentality because they're trying to kind of shame them in a way, or blame them for what happened to them, or I think when we say somebody has a victim mentality, we're just frustrated. Really, I think when it gets to the core of it, we want to help them. We don't know how to help them. They don't seem to be able to help themselves, and that frustrates us. So we give them this label of victim mentality. But again, it's not a real... There's no real definition to it, so it doesn't feel appropriate that we even have this phrase to me. I'm very frustrated by it. The things that I've listed here are not an exclusive list, and I'd be curious to hear your input on what you think victim mentality entails. Again, I'm a little conflicted on it. I just see what I think people are talking about are just mental dysfunctions, and that person is legitimately a victim, even though they may not be a victim of the things that they're saying they're a victim of. So examples of what I'm talking about here, just to clarify, so these things would have to be a pattern to be a mentality. They couldn't be isolated incidents. But feeling like the government is always out to get someone when there's no evidence to indicate that the government is. Feeling like you're going to get into a car accident when you experienced one a month ago, so you're not experiencing it right now. A person with narcissistic personality disorder who projects any criticism of themselves back into somebody else, who's actually only offering feedback. They're not even criticizing the person. A person with schizophrenia who believes that people are trying to control them with mind control. A person with depression who believes that there's no hope to get better. Somebody who cheats on their partner but then blames their partner for their behavior. I think all of these things we might see that person as having a victim mentality. But again, I'd love to hear from you. I don't see legitimacy to the term victim mentality. I find it to be more like victim blaming when we use this term, so I'm uncomfortable with it. I don't really like it, but I want to hear what your thoughts on it are on it. What has your experience been? Have you ever felt like you had a victim mentality? Or do you know somebody else who you felt like they had a victim mentality? And what did that mean to you? What do you mean when you use the word victim mentality? I'm curious to hear, so please leave that in the comments below. And I thank you for getting to hear what my view on victim mentality is, and I hope I've given you a good, well-rounded view on it. So I want to say that I appreciate you being here with me, and I thank you for learning about it with me today. Hey, it's Ryan Liberty. If you liked that video, please give it a thumbs up, share with a friend, and leave any questions or comments down below, because that would really help me out. If you're somebody who's gone through a traumatic event and you're feeling cut off from the people around you, I have a free course that will help with that, so please click to get it. And if you'd like to see the rest of my videos, please click subscribe. As always, I want to remind you that your life matters. Nobody can question your worth. However it is that you're feeling, whatever it is that you're going through, it's okay, and you are loved. Thanks again for watching.